Our weekly immigration news roundup is brought to you by the law firm of Figueroa and Associates. For consultation on any immigration or legal matter, please call 855-768-8845. That's 855-768-8845. For full stories and more immigration news, visit www.theimmigrantsjournal.com. That's www.theimmigrantsjournal.com.
Hello, my name is Mary Campbell, legal assistant at the law firm of Figueroa and Associates, and your presenter with this week's immigration news. We begin with Trump's mass deportation plan is the central immigration focus of his 2024 campaign and should be covered that way. During an election year with a dizzying volume of immigration news, the most consequential related storyline is the central campaign promise from Donald Trump, which is backed by prominent voices in Congress, to deploy American troops in American communities to conduct a massive roundup, detention, and purge of immigrants who have lived in America for decades, including Dreamers. This mass deportation would rip apart American families, communities, and the economy in a way that impacts people across the country regardless of immigration status or direct connections to the foreign-born. We should take this mass deportation promise seriously and devote renewed attention to this potential catastrophe in the weeks and months ahead. Meanwhile, in New York, clock ticking for bill to expand health care to NY's undocumented immigrants. A new version of a bill that aims to expand public health coverage to undocumented migrants is racing against time as health and immigrant organizations push lawmakers to get it to Gov. Kathy Hochul's desk. Supporters say the coverage could be entirely funded through billions of surplus dollars from an existing federally funded insurance program. But a version of the coverage for all bill last year faced resistance from Hochul. A spokesperson for the governor said in April 2023 that it would introduce significant financial uncertainty and risk, since it was difficult to estimate the size of the undocumented population, and New York could be on the hook for unexpected costs. The 2023 version passed the state Senate but never got a vote in the Assembly. Advocates say that Mayor Adams continues to endanger people. Last week, New York City restarted shelter 30-day evictions, following the shelter-stay settlement in March between the city and Coalition for the Homeless. Young adults, many of whom do not have connections in our city and no footing to help them move forward, are now forced to live in the streets, according to the New York Immigration Coalition. Instead of offering real solutions that will allow asylum seekers and all New Yorkers to build safe and stable lives in their communities, Mayor Adams refuses to tackle the affordability crisis that plagues millions of New Yorkers every day. In fact, under his leadership, we have seen all-time high rents across the city. Mayor Adams needs to prioritize getting people into permanent housing by passing the Stop Shelter Evictions Act and expanding city HEPS to all New Yorkers regardless of legal status. He will save the city $3 billion a year and get people on the road to stability and self-sufficiency, while relieving pressure on our shelters. NYC set to launch new migrant program in Buffalo. Will more follow? New York City officials are planning to launch a novel resettlement program to help migrants leave city-funded hotel shelters in Buffalo, which some proponents hope will serve as a blueprint for how the city manages the migrant influx moving forward. The $22 million program would enlist a local nonprofit to relocate up to 539 migrants currently living in Buffalo hotels and help them find apartments, jobs, and apply for asylum. According to City Hall spokesperson William Fowler, it's akin to the decades-old national resettlement system for refugees that advocates have asked the federal government to create for new migrants, who are mostly asylum seekers. In other news, USCIS shifts workload for Form I-730 following to join refugee petitions. Effective May 6, 2024, all Forms I-730, refugee/asylum relative petition, filed for following to join refugees, STJR, are being processed at the USCIS International Operations Division rather than the Asylum Vetting Center. Any pending Form I-730 FTJR petitions filed by refugee petitioners will be automatically transferred from the Asylum Vetting Center to USCIS International Operations. USCIS shifted this workload to better serve Form I-730 petitioners and beneficiaries by establishing a dedicated team with primary responsibility for initial domestic processing of FTJR petitions. This will help USCIS process this critical family reunification program more efficiently. DOL sets up a new website with workers' rights resources. The Department of Labor, DOL, launches a new website dedicated to providing resources on workers' rights. Migrantworker.gov offers a variety of resources, particularly focused on labor rights, to address common questions from migrants in multiple languages. Ninth Circuit rules against lower wages for H-2A farm workers. In a significant decision, the Ninth Circuit ruled on Friday that the U.S. Department of Labor cannot authorize employers to pay lower wages to foreign farm workers holding H-2A visas. This ruling rebuffed the department's contention that the matter became moot with the conclusion of the previous harvest season. The decision underscores the importance of fair wages and protections for agricultural workers, particularly those on temporary visas. Florida judge reconsiders injunction on immigrant transport law. A Florida federal judge is contemplating revising the extent of his injunction against a state law criminalizing the transportation of unauthorized immigrants. This potential backtrack follows the judge's reference to ongoing national discussions among legal experts regarding the suitability of universal injunctions. Finally, National Spelling Bee reflects the economic success and cultural impact of immigrants. In 1985, when Balu Natarajan clinched the title as the first Indian American champion, an Associated Press headline proclaimed, "Immigrant's son wins National Spelling Bee," highlighting his fluency in his parents' native Indian language. Today, such details scarcely make headlines, given the quarter-century of Indian American spelling champions, many of whom are children of parents who immigrated to the United States on student or work visas. Of the 34 since 1999, 28 have been Indian American, including 3 straight years of Indian American co-champions and 1 year, 2019, when 8 champions were declared, 7 of Indian ancestry. Thank you.
Our weekly immigration news roundup is brought to you by the law firm of Figueroa & Associates. For a consultation on any immigration or legal matter, please call 855-768-8845. That's 855-768-8845. For full stories and more immigration news, visit www.theimmigrantsjournal.com. That's www.theimmigrantsjournal.com.